Speaking to CNN Tuesday night, Michael Brown's great uncle echoed those feelings.
We, the family, we encourage peaceful protests, but we do not encourage violence. Violence is not the answer. Destruction of people's personal businesses or properties, we do not endorse that. It's very unnecessary and is not proving a point at all.
And Reverend,
you know, it's just one simple message that CNN, MSNBC, ABC, Fox News, Fox period in general, CBS, they can't say it, but to the perpetrators in Ferguson, not the protesters, not the one that would like a law to be changed for if, let's listen to Officer Wilson.
Police car grabbed the gun and then repeatedly punched him. Wilson says Brown then backed off, turned and charged at him with one hand below his shirt in what appeared to be his waistband. And that's when Wilson says he fired several times and Brown was killed.
Is there anything you could have done differently that would have prevented that killing from taking place?
No.
Nothing?
No.
And you're absolutely convinced, when you look through your heart and your mind, that if Michael Brown were white, this would have gone down in exactly the same way?
Yes.
No question?
No question.
Something you think that will always haunt you?
I don't think it's a haunting. It's always going to be something that happened.
You have a very clean conscience.
The reason I have a clean conscience is because I know I did my job right.
Well, Wilson still faces an
You see, I have no disdain for that man outside of the stigma of big black men are dangerous. You know, I deal with it a lot to the point where it's something that, as a 6'2", 240-pound black man, is just something you have to deal with. And only someone who is a black man can fully understand. For example, my vehicle is a 2013 Tahoe. I don't feel comfortable driving, especially at night, like this. And it's because, oh man, you know when that cop is behind you and you're looking in your rear view, he's starting to speed up behind you and you can tell he's checking your plates, and it's like, for what? You know, like for what? And I'm not the type of guy that's going to be, like hitting my brakes so I see him and I'm getting nervous. No. If the speed limit's 45, I'm going 50 or 55. Listen, listen. But the situation is so fucked up because you got niggas messing up the message. So within the outrage and the peaceful protesting on trying to get a law changed to whereas if a police officer in Ferguson feels that their life is in danger or the person is committing, I forgot how it goes, some type of felony, that they have the right to kill them. It's a weird law. Maybe in another video I'll understand it further. But if you've been following this situation, you should know what law I'm talking about. But for him to say that there was no other way to avoid the situation, this is my personal opinion. I don't know Officer Darren Wilson. I don't know anything about him as a person. But it looks like to me, a cop, young cop, he probably came from a good home. Maybe not. But he probably didn't grow up in the same circumstances Michael Brown grew up in. But how many fights has he been in his life? With the statement of him saying it looked like he saw a demon. It's like, motherfucker, you shot me. So I understand Michael Brown is a very large man, but at the same time, you have to take into account that you're taking a man's life. You're taking a man's life, and then it's not about the fact that the evidence matches up to Darren Wilson's story. I understand that, and that's where the witch hunt comes in. The issue is, why not go to trial? still take you to trial so the family can get that comfort in knowing, every T has been crossed and every I has been dotted. So it's tough because you can't hate that man. You can't hate that man, but you can hate how the society is. And now as I'm looking...
Demonstrators hitting the streets again with protests erupting for a second night in Ferguson, Missouri. Protests started out peacefully, then took a turn towards violence. Demonstrators broke out the window of a police car and lit it on fire, also taking out windows at City Hall. But with a huge National Guard presence on the ground Tuesday night, it was a much calmer scene overall. Anger did spread outward.
By the way, 4:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, November the 26th, 2014. I'm T Street Controversy. I call the show T Street Controversy Live. Normally I cover boxing, but I have the abilities to dabble in world news. So you got the perpetrators in Ferguson destroying businesses. There's most likely people in that community that are probably out there with you protesting that work at that car dealership or at that McDonald's or... Now, I understand that, a lot of these places will have insurance and they'll be rebuilt and all kind of stuff like that. But when you look at the National Guard and you look at those police and you look at the fact that I believe Ferguson has a ratio of 13 white cops or Caucasian cops to every one black cop. When you look at if it's true that racism is involved, if it's true that, there was an injustice, proven injustice, how do you think those white men are looking at you when you're going around destroying your own shit? That's just I never understood how people could throw trash on the outside of their house or litter in general. There's a difference between when you go to urban neighborhoods and then when you go to suburban neighborhoods. That's just a clean-cut difference. It's because of generational gaps. Right now, I actually had the disprivilege to grow up in somewhat of a situation like that, to whereas I was the only one of my sisters when my sisters finished high school, but everybody else, nobody went to college. Nobody went to college. But that's not nothing to laugh about. But what I'm saying is that if the habits of one generation are not addressed, it will spew down into the other generation and so on and so on, to whereas you got that grandmother, you got that 35-year-old grandmother who didn't have a good upbringing, was out in the streets and, getting high and all that kind of stuff. Then you got that, I'm going to say 20-year-old daughter, who's doing the same thing the mom was doing because the mom didn't know how to be a mom, or the father, either way. Then you got that 20-year-old who got a 10-year-old. No, that's just too crazy. A 20-year-old that got a 5-year-old, and then it's just, they got the little girls in this generation. You'll see this in this generation today. They got the little girls dancing. Go ahead, girl, shake your ass. Beyonce, Rihanna. I would never expose my children to anything. Listen, my children are going to grow up on I'm going to get some old Doug DVDs and Rugrats and all that. All this reality TV and Bad Girls Club, I would snap. And I got a daughter. I would snap, I would snap. I can't do it because it's so corrupt and it's poison. So once again, looking at the situation with Michael Brown's stepfather and saying, he was filled with emotion. I understand that. Burn that shit down. But it's what does that do? It does nothing. It's showing that you're mad. The guy is already off. He's doing interviews on ABC. They're basically telling him, you cool. Just, there's going to be a little bit of investigation, maybe a civil suit. But as far as criminal charges, you cool. But what is the point of burning shit up? You got the National Guard in there and they're looking at you and you're looking like niggas. You see what I'm saying? So it's difficult because you had a guy like Charles Barkley say some controversial subjects about about a month or so ago. Just so happened he's married to a white woman, if I'm correct. Yeah, I believe he's still married to her. But what I'm saying is, it's true that a lot of African Americans' mentality is to keep others down at their level, but when you get past their level, they're then your friend or they're supporting you. For example, blacks support, low income blacks heavily support people of power, heavily support buying $150, $200 shoes. You're getting a welfare check for like $500 a month or something. They look up to people spending above their means and finding and thinking that when they see the Lil Waynes and the Nicki Minaj's and the Drinks, Beyonce's, Rihanna's, and whoever you listen to, they don't understand that those people had to struggle, and each day they have to work. They have to get up. They're on tours, constantly on jets, flying all over the place. That's work. So taking the easy way out, it just has to be eliminated, which is one of my reasons for actually doing YouTube videos, is because I want my family to know, when my kids growing up, because I'm hoping YouTube is around forever, that I got all these videos here that they know, okay, all right, he was doing something. It's about changing a bloodline. Like, I'm sick of seeing people just not, like, especially in my family, just not doing nothing. This is like, and then I'm dealing with situations where my life where I'm being basically suppressed or oppressed, and when I see something like this going on, I'm thinking like, all this burning up and everything y'all doing, do you think that those National Guards, if there was outrage, that they're going to be burning their own personal business, their own shit up? And it's like to the guy to the story where Michael Brown allegedly, whatever happened with this Swisher cigars, I guess he was going to get the cigars so he can go back, blow some tree, whatever the case may be. But they went back, or what I'm seeing is that store was fucked up. So I'm thinking to myself, what's your logic behind that? Oh, well, if you would have just let him steal the cigars, then he wouldn't have got shot. So we're going to come fuck your shit up. And then like 6 weeks from now, when all this die down, that's probably one of the only places where everybody in their neighborhood go to get their Dutches or their Bluntvilles or whatever. And it's like, where do you go now? So it's like, y'all like, damn, we fucked up the store. Shit. He said he wasn't rebuilding it. His insurance wasn't high. Now you gotta fucking walk, if you don't got no car, like 2 goddamn miles to fucking get whatever you gotta need. Like, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. You're burning up car dealerships, You're burning, like, you're taking out your McDonald's. Like, your McDonald's? McDonald's is very, people try to act ashamed when they eat at McDonald's. They're like, oh, I know this shit is unhealthy and everything like that. But look, they always making their money. You can always depend on McDonald's for some unhealthy, fast-ass food. And you're going to fuck your own McDonald's up. Makes no sense. It's world news. They are not burning shit up in New York. Yes, I'm not saying all protests are peaceful. They're not looting in LA. The Ferguson situation is world news. So this guy's dead. I can understand. Remember, I can understand all the controversy. And this video is not about the controversy involving his case. That's a whole nother video. In fact, I did one before. I can understand. But I'm focusing on the negative message that's sending him, because looking at it, breaking it down to the bare minimum, what are you accomplishing by fucking up a business that maybe somebody in your family or somebody you know work at? And then what if that business was already struggling, so now you got some people out of jobs? You know, that was probably out there protesting like, yeah, what the fuck is y'all doing? You know, you got people filling bottles with piss. Okay, all right, we've had protests like that throughout history where it's the people versus the police. I understand that. You know, but none of this is helping Michael Brown at all. In fact, it's giving off the message, in my opinion, that look, you know, like look how he was. He rushing cops and look at them. They throwing piss at us and shit and setting shit on fire. You know, you're not showing peace to show the police, listen, we're not violent. You know, we peaceful people, and y'all fucking shit up. I'm not gonna waste too much time on this. I'm sorry, I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live, and I cover boxing. I'm the #1 boxing reporter on YouTube. I'm a boxing promoter. Not licensed yet, but it's coming. Got to get over a couple of hurdles, you know, and this video fit into actually a little bit on how I feel today, you know, with certain situations going on in my life. So, long story short, please subscribe. I cover every single major fight live. You know, I dabble in a bit of world news, and I'm going to start mixing it up a little bit, but I do about an average of, 25 plus videos a week. So, I'm going to start sprinkling a little more news in. T Street Controversy Live.